And they let me go, and I'm walking up, and down come these really pissed off looking guys with all the rocks that they had, because this guy had gotten up to the top of this mountain, and there was this almost vertical part, and he had just jumped over it. And he had tumbled down, you know what, I mean, you know, that's what they told me. And I kept going. I said, hello, I said, buenos dias, that's all I know in French. I mean German. I mean, and they just looked at me like they wanted to throw the rocks. After they went by, up comes Wally, and he has like a 45 Colt pistol. This is a pistol not from the, you know, from the golden age with the Peacemaker. You know, this is a probably World War I vintage Colt. I mean, nice gun. I wish I owned that gun. But I looked at that gun and it was, I could see it was loaded. And he said, I'm going to shoot that son of a bitch. Tell me where he is. So I said, I wish I could tell you. I don't know. And he talked to me. He said, why don't you come to dinner with me tomorrow, da-da-da. Right. But I said, oh, okay, that sounds like a great idea. I didn't know what to say. So he leaves me, and I went back down. I looked at this fucking waterfall looked like about as much as a cow pissing. You know, it wasn't worth seeing. I walked down, and I can see in the distance, I see Frank, I see Wally and Bailey, and I see the police. And this is what I see. The policeman gets Wally to hand his gun over, because he's been, you know, I heard some shots, you know, saying he's going to kill that goddamn German. And then, as I'm getting closer, he grabs the pistol from out of the belt of the policeman and shoots at Frank. I don't see how he missed him. And here's what happened. The police just fell down laughing. That was so great. So what had happened was Frank had, you know, rolled down, gone to the police station. They said they just stoned my friend to death. So several times during the night when I was at a bar, people would say, I thought you were dead. Like that. And they, you know, I said, well, you know, I got that. That's all I got. And anyway, so he ran into the town after that, and I walked down and I stayed away from them, but two men detached themselves from the group, and I saw them sort of pointing at me, and they followed me into the town. So I go into the town, and these guys are behind me, and I go up to this arcade where, you know, Frank liked to play this stupid game, and he's in there, like, you know, sweating, and I look at him, and I do this sort of thing, like that, and he got that somehow. I went over to this bar where I went to drink, and I said, Frank, I'm putting this all on Frank's account, which is what I did. I stayed dinner, I had a pitcher of beer, had another pitcher of beer, having a pretty good time. The two guys I'd go out and look, when I go out and take a piss outside, they'd be sitting there, standing there, and then the last time they weren't there. I also had seen Frank, you know, through the window one time. So he comes in, and he is completely scared shitless. He says, they're going to kill me. That guy's going to kill me. And I said, he did say he was dead. And he said, I'm going to catch the boat to St. Catherine. Might have been a different saint, but something. To take the bus that goes to Oaxaca tomorrow. And I said, I think that's a good idea, Frank. Here's what I was really thinking. You son of a bitch. You almost got me killed because you wanted to steal something out of somebody's car. And then you left me there. I didn't say anything like that. And he said, would you? I said, I know what I said. I said, Frank, if I were you, I would not go back to Mario's tonight. Because, you know, they're going to see me go there. And they're going to go and look and see if you live there. And I don't think that would be good for you. And so Frank asked me, he said, would you walk to the boat with me? Now that was 1.5 miles down this road with nothing on, nothing to hide. And I'm thinking, why would I do this? But you know, I thought about it for a minute. He seemed so tiny at that time, so scared. I said, all right, I'll walk with you. So that morning I got up at 7, went down to the thing. He was sitting there, sitting under a tree, and he got up, and he was everywhere we went. He looked around. And We walked down to the thing, and you know, nobody came after him. He got on his his boat, and I went back. And for the rest of the time there, you know, all I was worried about, now that Frank's gone, who is going to pay for my oatmeal, my drinks, and all that? But he wrote me a letter afterwards, and I said just what I said to you. I said, look, I was a fool. I deserved everything I got down there. Should have brought more money. Shouldn't have depended on a girl I only knew for 2 nights. Shouldn't have done any of this stuff. I'm an idiot. But you're worse than an idiot, you know. You're a dishonest bastard. You know, he was telling me, we're friends. I said, you ain't no friend to me. So that's all I had to say about that. I did get back to the country because I hitchhiked down the Pan American highways. Anybody ever been on that? It looks like my driveway in Nelson County. Craters, pits, right at the top of the mountain. It just looks like a gravel road. And the guy who picked me up, he said something like this to me. He said, you know, when I first saw you, I felt you were a man who's going to need a lot of help. And he said, where are you? What is your plan? I said, well, my flight leaves tomorrow. He said, I thought I'd just go down to the airport and sleep outside. He said, you can't sleep outside. He said, that's in zone 6. That's the worst zone in Guatemala City. And I said, well, I haven't got anything they can steal. And he said, I've got a plan. And this guy, he took me to the Biltmore, which is the biggest hotel, or was then. And he brought me in with no shirt, a pair of ragged shorts and sandals, into this place, a hat, of course. And he got me a room. He said, do you want to, he said, there's some good whores around here. I said, no, that's all right. I'm doing all right with the board department. He said, okay. And he gave me enough dinner. And he said, and he picked me up the next day and he said, how are you getting back to America? And I said, well, you know, I'm just going to get on that plane and get. And he said, you know, it costs $20 to leave the country. And I said, good. Why would they charge? I said, I want to get out, and I'd pay it if I had it. But he gave me that money. And all he ever asked me to get anyway, he asked me to do something for him. I tried to do it, but I wasn't able to. So that tells you what an idiot I am.
What was it?
What was it?
What did he ask you to do?
He had this incredibly beautiful daughter. The reason he had this hotel room, he had a hotel room in every big hotel in that town, and he'd come down as a hippie to loaf and invite his soul, just like, you know, in one of the works you read. And what he did was he saw, if I brought, you know, cable TV down here, I mean, this place would go, the world would be at my feet, and that's what happened. He was an entrepreneur. And so he had a big house. He had this beautiful room in every, and you know, he had the kind of room where this really cute girl came up and massaged me at night, you know, and gave me Godiva chocolates. I mean, you tell me, I did not deserve any of this shit. But I think that girl was pissed off when she found out that I got out of that town. So, but he asked me if I could see if I could get his daughter into the University of Virginia.
You couldn't?
I couldn't get myself into that school anymore. You know, that's a tough place to get into. Is anybody in here trying to apply to it? It's not very easy. It's not.
Have you not written this story in a book?
What?
Have you not written this story down?
Yeah, it's the ending of the novel I wrote about 2 years ago. And I'm trying to get somebody to show me how to publish it online. That's the last thing that happens in it. It's the first thing happens is
that whole story is all in there.
That whole story, you know, not my name and
in detail, like
you would know.
Play by play.
There'll be some more details.
Some about all the whoring he was doing.
No,
that is.
I have never paid for
that is.